So some of you might have heard me talk about this before previously, but when it comes to your rifle setup, I'm very particular about my sling setup, and so I'm just going to show you guys what I do, and maybe it'll work for you, maybe not, but I don't know, I like it pretty well. So traditionally, what I see a lot out in town and in public is that people will set up their rifles in some sort of configuration like this, some sort of quick release or whatever, but they will essentially have their sling hard mounted on the wrong side. So I'm a right-handed shooter. If I'm a right-handed shooter, I want my sling to be on the left side for the buttstock, and then also on the left side for the front of the weapon as well. But a lot of people will also do these quick release attachments here, like really center around the in the frame. I like to actually put mine out a lot further, and what I like to do is use 550 cord to give me a little bit more maneuverability with the weapon system, and I'll demonstrate what I mean by that here shortly, but also more control overall. And again, I'll demonstrate that here shortly when we're talking about transition drills, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. And so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take this configuration and I'm going to adjust it for the makeshift setup that I have, because I don't have any like lower lock rails or anything in there right now. So yeah, we're just gonna use 550 cord, go old school. So grab 550 cord, paracord, I don't know, whatever you call it, and cut yourself, I don't know, 1.5 feet worth of length. You'd rather have more length than not enough, because then you can just chop it off at the end. And then what I do is I pull out the cords that are inside, so if you burn your 550 cord, then anytime you mess with the end piece, you gotta cut that off. All right, so pull your cord out and then melt the ends. So get a lighter. Now you're melting the ends so that this doesn't fray. You're getting rid of the inner cord because you want it to be like flat. You don't want this bulky, hard thing that's rounded for what we're gonna use it here today. Think of it like a shoelace. If you ever get like the old school shoelaces that are flat, those tie infinitely better than the traditional, or what we now see, I guess I should say, like those basically like 550 cord string shoelaces. Those always come undone. You gotta like double and triple knot tie them. But anyways, that's why we're gutting it, and that's why we are burning the ends. We're burning the ends so that it doesn't fray and quickly fall apart. Now, next what I'm gonna do is I'm going to undo, hold on, I gotta figure this out. All right, so now I'm going to undo the backside of the sling, and I'm actually going to run this 550 cord in through here, that sling slit right there. You've got this thing here. I don't use it. I'm actually probably about to pop this off, but then I run the 550 cord through here, and then I'll just do like a square knot, tighten it down. A square knot just in case you didn't see that. So whatever I'm looking at, I go right over left, and then I swoop that one under, and then I go left over right, and then I swoop that one under, and it gives you a square knot, because it kind of looks like a square when you tighten it down, I guess. Anyways, that's the type of knot that I'm going to use back here, and then I'll even put in, because we don't have a lot of pigtail left, so you said it's better to go longer than shorter, but I'll even put in like a small little security knot on each side, and you're going to be pretty set with that. For a security knot, I just do an overhand knot on the right side, and then I cinch it all the way down so that it's a knot up against a knot. And then on the left side, I do the same thing. I just do a overhand knot, punch it up and through, and then I just cinch down that knot up against that knot. So I've got 3 knots all in order. And it's probably not going to come undone. I'll tidy up this pigtail here. Get some scissors. I will chop off a little bit of this pigtail. Leave, I don't know, about ½ inch left, maybe a little more than ½ inch. And then again, I will burn off that end so it doesn't fray. All right, sweet. So now we've got this little extension piece for our rifle, for our rear sling. Then what I'm gonna do, I wanna make sure I like the adjustments here. So this is a very old sling of mine. I've had this for a very long time. I had this on like, I think actually 3 deployments. I think all 3 of my MARSOC deployments. So as I'm wearing this gun, like, let's say like this, I like my adjustments this way, where if I pull up, it loosens up. And when I grab this tab right here and I pull down, it tightens down. I like that. You need to figure out what you like best. That's just how I like mine, so you get a feel for that. Know what you have to pull up on in order to tighten that thing or loosen it, and then to pull down on in order to tighten it. All right, so keeping all my buckles on the outside, the left side, my support side. Your buckle should always go towards your support side. I'm just gonna loop it through that 550 cord and then run it through all of these eyelids. Now, when we talk about maneuverability, you're gonna be hearing me talk about this 550 cord in just a minute when I start demonstrating, but then you're gonna hear me talk about where I don't want mobility, where I don't want things to be more flexible and loose, and that is these eyelids. I like to cinch my eyelids all the way down, and then I'm gonna have this excess here, and so you're gonna wanna roll that up. Just a couple of rolls like this would be fine, and then grab a piece of electrical tape. See if this stuff even works, it's so old. And these could all be like little ways that you use to mark your rifle. So if I use yellow tape, for example, I know that when I see yellow tape wrapped around the eyelids here on the rear portion of my sling, with this style of 550 cord, normally I really wouldn't use this, but I'm just doing it because I'm demonstrating something for you guys, all that I have here. But it doesn't really matter. And then I'm going to tape down this loose hanging piece. Now I'm not taping it to the actual main sling itself because it's too thick there. And, it's just gonna get all beat up and bent up and pulled out of shape, where it's kind of like putting it there, taping it to that, it's kind of like having a cut on your hand, and you're all day long you keep reopening that. But I'm going to tighten down on all this stuff right here. And again, this could be used as a small little way to indicate your weapon, because you never know, things get mixed up all the time in chaos and in living in those environments. All right, sweet. So that's the rear side. Now let's go to the front side. All right, same ordeal. I'm gonna burn off these frayed ends, get them nice and closed out. Little comb, very nice. I'm gonna undo the front part of this sling, pull this thing out, back here. Now for this, I'm gonna go all the way to the very front part of the rail. And just get my Gerber. Now for back here, something to keep in mind, I wanted to give myself enough of a 550 loop to where this can come down, around, and over with no issue. Up here, I don't want that same type of flexibility because I don't want it to be like going over the barrel here. The big thing here is going to be our forward grip. So I run like a forward grip. What I am looking for is this right here, where if I get a forward grip on my gun, that I'm not going to be getting a handful of thick, taut sling. That it's going to be 550 cord, and so I'll probably go to about here, maybe here to actually tie the knot. So just a little bit smaller than the back one. So I space out that first right knot fold. Cool, that's like right where I want it to be. Right over left, left over right. Cinch it down. And see guys, I'm serious when I say you would rather go longer than shorter, because why would I not just want to have an extra, you know, whatever feet. Well, actually I did, but I just cut it off, so whatever. In a small case like this, where I don't have a lot of pigtail left, I will try to do like a half overhand knot and see if that works. Where instead of going all the way around the rope, it's almost like a hitch. I've had a lot of success with that because I've done this a lot where I screwed it up. Now, with this also, what I will do, now it doesn't mean it's gonna last, but I will take that knot and I will put that inside of the Picatinny rail right there. So then that way, one, I have the thickest portion of the rope in contact with the barrel, which is gonna get hot. But two, all it's really doing is melting and cinching those knots down. Again, not to say that it's gonna last forever, but that's just how I roll with it. So you do whatever you want to do. All right, now I've got my rear side of the sling set up. Got the front side of my sling. I stretch it all the way out. And actually you guys can see here that there's previous tape from when I was taping up this portion of my sling from years and years ago. That's so old. I'm gonna do what I did in the back. I'm gonna run it through these eyelids. Now with the front eyelids, I'm gonna be slightly looser just to further ensure that I'm not grabbing an eyelid whenever I do go to mount a forward hand grip. And that's also another reason why the backside does stay so tight. It's because there's still gonna be a little bit of flexibility here in the front. So much more that I at least don't need to tape it. And if yours is crazy stupid long, you can just cut it and then burn it. I mean, that's all this is right here is a burnt edge. Torch stopped working. Torch light is the way to go when they work. Dang, that's crazy. There's my initials even too. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. Wrote that probably, I don't know, first Marsoc deployment. All right, so now we've got 550 cord on the front end and the back end. We've got the back end taped up. Probably use a little bit of tape up here on this one. So this is just whenever you're doing basic sling setup, like if you're assembling one from scratch or something, there's another set of eyelids that connect what's essentially the middle, but really the last 1/3 of the sling to the back 1/3. And you can loosen this up. I keep mine pretty tight though, because like I said, there's already enough looseness going on in the front and in the back with the 550 cord. And you always want things tight. You want everything nice and tight. You don't want to be running around with a bunch of loose ends flopping all over the place, looking like just some bozo idiot. It's probably one of the biggest things that I see law enforcement do is that they're just running around like they've never even put that shit on in their life, and they've never done a single real training event with it. Even if they have, it's like they're not learning anything. They're not learning how to fix their shit. I'm not saying that's for all cops and all police stations that do more advanced work, but man, I see it all the time. Just watch any police response video. Like if you show up to a team and your shit is locked on tight, every little thing, even the little end straps of your sling, that's up. How you do anything is how you do everything. All right, so now why the 550 cord? Let's talk about this. All right, the 550 cord is designed to give you better control over the weapon system for things like going to your weak side or support side, Because you can maneuver now, you don't have to worry about having your rifle in a position that's not as advantageous as possible for a transition. That's like some real dad life shit right there. Having the ability to maneuver to your support side without losing the functionality of going into a transition is super important. Why? Because you'll notice that the 550 cord, one, locks this in place as we talk about the efficacy of it. So it locks it in place, whereas a big thick piece of cord here actually has a greater tendency to unhoist it from my side. Now, when you look at how this thing fell naturally, and it does, I'd say probably 8 out of 10 times, it's in a position now where the magazine is outside of the sling. And so as it wants to even turn in, because that is the way the rope is naturally twisted, it can't because it's up against my side. It literally locks the rifle into place on your side for doing things like transition to pistol. All right, otherwise, if you are running a single point sling, something that's like this where it just hangs down, or you're running it close here to the center of the weapon system, you don't have the ability to throw it out of the way. It's gonna come right back in front of you every single time. And what are you doing? Well, you're trying to move. And I can tell you from personal experience, when your pants catch your forward hand grip or your magazine good enough, and this thing comes and eats you in the face, or when you fall heading down, whether it's not even heading down the stairs, but like two little stairs, you fall, and then you take this right into the mouth and then you eat it, it's gonna fucking suck. One of the most painful things I've ever done in my life, on multiple occasions, I should say, was buttstock myself in the face. I mean, it fucking hurts. I thought I had all my teeth hanging out of my bottom lip. Anyways, stories for another time. That is why, if you're a right-handed shooter, you know, you do you, but this is what I do. I like to have the ability to switch out to my support side and yet not have to sacrifice that, because when I do transitions, I like to know that what I'm about to show you is happening. The other reason why I like to use the 550 cord on the end here, and why I like to put my slings all the way to the end of the rifle, is because I could actually cinch this thing down and get a lot more stable of a shooting platform, especially for farther shots. So let's say that I come running out of something, it's close, and then I come outside and it's like about a 200-yard shot and I've got to hurry up and take something. I can actually cinch this down, run my hand over and through, right into my back, and then get back after it again. Quickly loosen it up. I'm running, and business like usual. So if you have that all the way down here, you can't do that, obviously. You always want to be as forward as possible to get as good of a grip and bring it back into that shoulder pocket, cinch it down as nice and tight as possible. And then I also like it like this because it's giving me more control over the weapon when I am doing something like just talking, and I'm not necessarily doing something, you know, moving or kinetic. Now going back to on the transition, the fact that this locks all the way in over at my side and allows me all this free workspace is invaluable. It's invaluable. Again, look at how it just naturally fell to where it's locked in to my side. So if I'm going in somewhere and all of a sudden I get a moving in the opposite direction. So the fact that it locks it into my side is just absolutely, I don't know, freaking phenomenal. Now, the only time you'll really ever see me put my strong shoulder underneath the sling, and again, I like everything at the front and at the rear because it gives me more control over the entirety of the weapon system. Now, this also is a good point as to why I like the back so tight. Because if I do need to cinch something down to, let's say, help with like a serious casualty or something, then I could cinch this thing in this way, get that person up, help them out, whatever shape or form way I need to. But if things start to get crazy and I need to again, I could just loosen up my gun. And that's the other flexibility that this 550 cord is going to be providing me. That's the last thing I'll talk about today. Where even if I'm in a modified position, a non-traditional position, and I'm doing something with my hands, fast roping or whatever, I don't know what you guys are doing. All I need to do once I hit the ground is twist, grab, so I'm grabbing my strap and I'm grabbing the weapon system, clear. So as I'm loosening it up, I want to clear my pistol, like how I just did not. Especially if you have a drop leg holster like this that sticks out a lot, you really need to clear that thing. So I'm going to twist, I'm going to grab, I'm going to clear, I'm going to present. If you need to, transition like this, then that's probably not going to do you very much good. And that's why you'll see me quickly get back into my strong or support side sling position, whatever you want to call that. Yeah, so one more time, just to reiterate that unconventional position, guns locked tight, twist, grab, clear, and then present. And by present, I'm kind of simplifying it a little bit. Turn, grab, clear. So I'm loosening that strap up, I'm clearing that pistol. Notice where I've grabbed my rifle, right by that magazine well. And then I bring it up, I release my strap, I grab that forward grip, I get that high firm pistol grip, and then I pull it right back into my shoulder. Flip the weapon on fire, because obviously something's happening right now. Once I have the opportunity to, I'm going to grab the magazine well, put my strong arm in so I have a 1-point sling, high firm pistol grip, always try to chicken wing when you can, and then I'm going to sweep my support arm out and under, and then secure it that way. All right, let me know if you guys have questions on that. That's how I set mine up. How do you set yours up? Do you like yours closer to the center of the gun here, and if so, why? And yeah. Talk about it then.